this is still a little bit of a new piece for you. I mean, it's not memorized completely all. I think, actually what strikes me, there are two things that strike me first. One is that your tempos are kind of all over the place. I think you're not going to be able to play it that freely, even with the brilliant Philharmonic, let alone with the kind of orchestras that I ended up playing this piece with. We're not that good. You've got to be much steadier. I would actually, I mean, sure, you want to be free in places, yes, but within the passages, they just have to be dead on. You're never going to be together.
Okay.
And, so you got to fit in, yes, it is a violin concerto, but you have to fit in with the places where the orchestra is really rhythmical. You have to fit in with that. You can't, like, you slow down at the end, you can't do that. Right?
Yeah.
You're going along, you're going at that speed.
Yeah.
When it gets harder, it can slow down, right? Okay, so that's number one. But the other thing that I want to bug you about, and it's interesting because usually I'm trying to get people to move more and be more relaxed. I think it's good that you move because it keeps you relaxed in a way. But I think that the motion, I think there's too much of it, and I think it's getting in your way technically because it's almost like, I mean, the image that I have in my head when I think about this is these aircraft carriers, like they're on the sea and you're trying to land a plane on it and the thing's going like that. I don't know. I don't know. They do end up in the water sometimes. I don't know how they ever land on it. It's like a miracle every time even though they got hooks and everything. It's like, how do you land? And it's like planes going like this and boats going like this and somehow they land. And if you move around too much with the violin, you're making your target move too much. And you also do a lot, I don't want to make you self-conscious about this, but I think motion is good. I mean, this kind of motion is good. Mm-hmm. You do a lot of motion forward and backward this way. You sort of rock this way. Yeah. And it doesn't really help you because, if you're on an up bow, well, if I bring the violin to the bow, somehow, if I'm bringing this for that, that's fine. Yeah. But if I'm moving back and forth this way, it's not really helping what I'm doing with my hands in terms of the bow, sort of bringing my hands together and back as I just come to the front and back. That kind of motion is better. So, I mean, I'd rather, if you feel like you want to move, which is fine, as I say, most of the time I'm trying to get people to move a little bit more and kind of, relax a little bit. Try, just to fill up a second, just draw the bow on an elbow. As you're coming, okay, yeah, this is just for practice. I'm going to do it just back. All right, as you're coming on the up bow, come over to your front foot. I'm a mirror now, okay? Yeah. So come over to your front foot and then go back. Okay. And open as much as you can. This is just an exercise. Okay. Sorry. Just exaggerate. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to do a big motion. Okay. Let's start on the back foot, and then move as you're coming toward the middle of the bow. Start. And you now do it a little bit less and a little bit slower. Down bow, change to a B flat, and I want you to make a crescendo on an A and a I want you this B flat to be like the most unbelievable harmony change, gorgeous change. You
Okay,
know,
so
in
B
some
flat,
imaginary
starting
piece.
out with B
Start on the A,
Okay.
and then go to the B flat. Start up,
Okay.
up, and no, the other way, come back. Yeah.
Okay.
But I want you to do this really emotionally.
Okay.
Okay, so this, I know it's faking, you know, but let's pretend, okay? Bow speed, just very slow, and then it's like the most amazing moment in late Beethoven quartet or something.
Can I use vibrato?
Yeah, absolutely, everything. Just heartfelt, but I want you to move. Right. Good. Now, that is a good motion, all right? You don't want to be doing that all the time either.
Right.
Right. But there's two things about that. When you're moving that way, what direction are you moving? Toward what? Toward whom?
The audience.
Yeah! You move forward this way, you're moving actually sort of sideways or even away from the audience, you know? But when you move, I mean forward this way.
Yeah.
When you move this way, you're reaching out, you know, as if I'm talking. I mean, if I'm talking to you and I suddenly go like this, look, he's really paying attention. He's paying attention anyway. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you just even if you just go a little bit toward the audience.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would try. I want you to keep moving, but I would watch yourself in the mirror for a while and make sure that you're. Yeah. It doesn't need to be as much as I'm doing.
Yeah.
Another good thing to practice is the opening of the G minor Bach with the chords. You play it when you play that now?
I have played it.
Okay, but you know it's the chords this way. And then also the chords themselves, when you come this way, as you go back, you know, the chord just happens. You don't have to do that. It's just because of the motion of your body that it works. Okay, now the other. How are we doing time-wise? Time just flies, doesn't it? The other thing, I want to work a little bit in the beginning with you on it. The other thing is that your vibrato sounds really great sometimes, but then it kind of cuts out, and it doesn't sort of connect through. I mean, this is something that everybody has to work on. I mean, we all have to work on it to really keep the vibrato going. Yeah. Do the second theme. Make sure,
I mean, I have.
You know, right? Just do those three notes. Yeah. Lift the first finger when you go to the third. Change the bone. Good. Slap it a little bit harder so that there's articulation and vibrato right away. Also on your down bow, when you go in the down bow, you don't want to go this way.
Yeah.
Fit, you know, if anything, you want to go this way a little bit. Good, okay, now play, you get that started now, vibrate through that. Yes. That's a very different sound.
Yeah.
And that's got my attention through that whole little bit. Now, I'm not saying you have to be hysterical with the vibrato. I don't mean, you know, like every note is for you, right?
Yeah.
But if those 4 or 5 notes, faster notes, are dead, it's not so interesting. That sounded really beautiful. I mean, maybe you want to increase it as you go along, because it gets, you know, hotter as it goes along, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to give it all away in the first measure. But for now, I would practice it really, going through, all the way through. Play it once really, really forte and really intense. Like. that way on the down bow and this way on the up. Just a little bit. Okay, now even softer, but let's keep the intensity in all. In other words, put more and more of your feeling down your left arm, and less in your right arm. Vibrate through all the little notes. Good, good, good. Okay. Do it once, just for practice. Do it once really slow with no vibrato and try to get the instrument to ring, you know, like I was doing.
Yeah.
Good. One more time, even softer but more ring. You know what I mean? Good. And add the vibrato a little bit. Great. Okay. Now a little louder. Good, good, good. That's really just now getting your voice.
Yeah.
You hear it?
Mhm.
You feel it? It's like, it's there. You have it there. It's just not quite coordinated physically, but also in terms of what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Let me just show you something. Have a smell. It's when I wear those lacy dresses. Right, let me just show you. I just want you to hear the sound. If I go like as far away as I can, of this ringing that I'm talking about. Can I take that off?
Yeah.
I don't have a Mac, so. Important that Mac. Let's start those two. I'm going to do with it. I'm going to just so you can hear it, what I was doing with her before. So let's start. You have to stay loose. That's just vibrating a little bit on the top of the instrument, almost just on the string. Right, now this is the top of the instrument. Ringing, okay, and now I'm going to go for the back, or deeper. I'm not really squeezing or pressing, I'm just getting it to ring. So I get it as loud as I can without vibrating, then back up from that. I can't even make it scratch if I press in. It's really reading okay. I can't even make it break. So that's the basic approach to the
Yeah.
sound. I'm not even talking about playing louder or more intense, whatever. It's just getting the instrument to really ring. Okay? But I just wanted you guys to hear it from, because it's not only a question of projecting the sound, it's a question of projecting all the color in the sound and the vibrato. And that's what, that's when you're sitting out in the hall, that's what makes somebody interesting in the back of the hall versus somebody that's interesting, up close. So it's that projection. It's really imitating what happens with the human voice, the great singers. And if you haven't done this a lot, you should be listening to singers. That's the main thing you want to imitate, that sound, that vibrato. The great thing is you always hear the vibrato in this beautiful open, open throat and supported sound that the great singers are blessed with. And we're just basically relatively poor imitators. but that's the sound you have to have in your ear. And also listen to the players with a good sound too.
Yeah.
But that's what they're imitating. That's what they sound like. They're really great sounds. It sounds like the voices. Okay. So I'm sorry we got stuck on that, but I want to focus on just one or two things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you so much.
best to at least have a score of the handling to look at, and H-E-N-L-E. Just because there's a lot of stuff that's wrong. And I haven't played this I've played this about 30 years, so I don't know what it matters. But I know from the Beethoven quartets, opus 18s, which are a little bit later than this, that there's just so many different things. But you have, yeah, there's a lot of times where you guys are making crescendos, which I don't think is right. Or at least that's not the way I think of the piece. I don't know. Yum bum 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 bum. Yum bum 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 bum. You know, it's almost like an echo of it. And I mean, it's Beethoven's like, starts a lot of intensity, and you have the syncopations against the bop 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 bop, yum bop bop, like you're battling against it, and then it's like, it's funny, it should be funny, right? So I think the crescendo, it's like you're making it too musical. It's kind of silly, actually, and I think it's okay, because he had a good sense of humor, Mr. Beethoven, even in his later years, especially at this point. I think he's having fun at the beginning of this thing. It's just full of energy, full of fun, real. Probably could be a little bit faster, and I think your the way you do the soft stuff could be a little more light. Finger in. It's sort of awkward with strings. Maybe you save a little bit of energy there in the left hand. Just try a little bit at the beginning of it. And let me really, I really want to hear. I think a lot of times you're playing too long. Here in the beginning, it doesn't write dots, I guess. I don't remember what's in the how many, but at this point, you didn't put dots over everything. I think you just assumed that it would be played that way. But when you see, they got the syncopation against your normal eighth note, so you have to be like a rock that they're playing off of. I don't think you can do that playing too long. Later in the movement, by the way, when you have like when she has the triplet, and they have the triplets going back and forth, you're going bong, 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 bong. It's like a piano, left hand piano. You wouldn't play so. That's right. Little, even almost like a timpani part. A lot of times the cello in classical period chamber music, all of the Haydn quartets, and even in Mozart and Beethoven, a place like this, you really function as the timpani part, So don't be afraid to be a little bit more, a little clearer, and a little bit more percussive even in that sense. I mean, it should ring, it should be a nice short note, like a timpani has a ring to it afterwards. But you play too legato, it kind of doesn't work. It doesn't help the triplets of the viola. You're kind of trying to help the violist here. He doesn't need it, he plays very well, but you know what I mean. Da 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 bum bum bum. You're kind of like, come on, you can do it. You can do it too. You can do it. Now you can do it. Come on, you're helping me. Let's try from the beginning. Let's try to get a little more humor into it. Maybe just a tick faster. Yeah, really, really hard. And then don't be too musical. Be funny. even on your, and then very beautiful, really nice legato eighth notes, and beautiful bass sound here, just suddenly a different landscape. And that's the key, one of the big keys with Beethoven, is that he's very changeable. He certainly, when you read about him, was this way as a person. Even in these early years, he wasn't deaf yet, he wasn't as, mad and crazy as he was later. But he must have been, you read about these things where sometimes he would come to a party all dressed up and really, probably bathe, but he'd just combed his hair. and other times he would come, he'd be drunk or he'd be like his clothes, he'd change his shirt in a week, he was composing all night. So he was very, you just never knew which Beethoven was going to show up. And it's a little bit that way within the pieces. You see his character changing constantly. He must have been incredibly emotional. And he would sit, there's stories of him improvising at the piano. And he would love to do this. He would like to get the whole royalty and everybody sitting there. And he would get soft. And they would just do play something really loud, and then he would turn and he'd just laugh at them. There are things written about this, I mean, he was a bit nuts, but this suddenly should be just another world. The more you can change the character, and as quick as you can change the character, the more you capture Beethoven. Do one more time from the beginning, just looking ahead to the take your time a little bit on those eight. By the way, one thing I was going to say before I forget, with your vibrato, it's a little too narrow and it's a little too fast. Don't think about making it wider. I mean, don't think about making it slower. Make it just a little bit wider. It'll slow you down slightly, okay? Just in general, a little bit wider, and it'll automatically, you won't be able to play it as fast. You don't need it to be that fast. You've got a great intense vibrato. What you need is a little more with it. So don't think about slowing down. Just a little bit wider, and on the top of it, especially when you're practicing. disappear.
Oh.
And you have bum, 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 then the horns come in. Now you're a horn. Before you were timpani, you're a horn. Right? Can you just hear it if it were orchestrated? You hear the French horn play that, right? You know, when I work with orchestra, which I don't do that much, but I grew up, my parents played the big orchestra, and I grew up hearing orchestra all the time. So I just sort of had all those wonderful Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven symphonies that George Zell, I grew up hearing that. So when I hear this music, you tend to hear the orchestra in it. And I think it's good when you're playing chamber music, or even when you're playing solo things, to think, not just to think about it as this, but think about it, how would this music be if it were orchestrated? Maybe I can make this sound a little more like a flute, maybe I can make this sound a little more like a French horn, or a timpani, or bassoon sometime. Somebody's like, that kind of thing. Bassoon writing, it's left-handed piano. It's kind of a little awkward if you play it like a cello there. It doesn't work. It's not as funny as if you play like a bassoon. Bassoon's just funnier. Can we do? Yeah, do for the same spot. That's good. That's good. A little bit too. You're a little bit too much the same. Make it really clear to the audience what the phrase is doing. She can't do it all herself. She's making an innuendo, but you guys are not. Right? The strings, this is the strings of the symphony, right? Getting really soft, and then the winds come in. It was interesting what you did this time, but I think you have to talk about it, or they have to be a little more receptive or quicker to do it. You went da 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 dee da 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 dee bum 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 dee da 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 bum 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 dee. It was a very nice phrase. Really, I liked it very much, but they got to do it with you. So she's not doing dee da 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 dee. She's not doing the second one that way. She's going a little more to the bottom of it, and then continuing over the top where it goes a little higher, right? And then coming down. So let's make that a little clearer. That's a little too much. I mean, you don't need to do quite so much going down here. The intention is good, but it's a little too obvious. It's all within, yeah, right? Okay. All right, let's go on. Go on from the E flat. Yeah, you don't need to go bum, bum. Let her do that a little bit, but bum, bum, just equal. Right? Don't play the. Downbeat should still always be the strongest. Now, okay, now, so what happens here? You think it's going to be like the beginning, right? But
Exactly what they be.
it's supposed to be natural, and then the next measure is what key?
C minor.
C minor, right? So this is the first minor sound we've heard, right? Maybe just a tiny bit of time. Make sure that we really hear that B natural. B natural leading to C, right? Now this time is not fun anymore. Now it's time to be, a little angry. Yeah, this is C minor. That's Beethoven's angry. It's his favorite angry key. Start right on the C minor. Let's just let me do it. stroke like this. You're doing sort of doing with your arm. What I would like to see is all of you practice a stroke where you are using both your arm and your hand. You know, this. Practice it once. Do one. Just play E flat. 8th notes, everybody, and just do it with your hand. Don't move your arm at all. But a lot of energy, like this, like this kind of feeling, where it's right in your fingers. A lot of, like really, it's quick, and energy. There's a lot of that, like it's a real, right? Just with your hand. Keep doing it until it starts. Raise your elbow. Doesn't have to be so big, but just quick. Right. The way I was feeling when I did it, like this. Just right in your. It's like throwing back. Just right in your wrist. You're really at risk.
Oh, I see.
Okay? Try this one. Almost there, at the beginning of the note. It's not quite flying. It's just got to be super energized right at the top of the note. Just want the wrist. Good, that's it. Okay, now, do the opposite. Do it just with the arm, don't move the wrist at all. Just a good, nice motion from your shoulder. A lot of energy, right? Okay, now, put them together. Use that, hold that shit from here, but also this. Do the C minor chords. Good. Just don't forget the right.
Oh.
What was great? Okay, good. It's almost perfect. What I would say is, in the beginning you have double stops with open G sound great. Here it's a little. He wants it stronger, but his orchestration skills are not quite as sophisticated as later. Like when you hear tonight in Opus 127, what he does with the sound, the way he gets the 8 notes, and just the whole. It sounds like there's 8 instruments playing sometimes, using more double stops on them. I wish he had used the open Gs here, maybe later he would have, just to get more resonance. But you need to be more, you just need to be more intense. It's like D string and it's a little weak.
Oh, okay.
The Gs. One more time. Maybe a little more bow too for you. Yeah, moving your first chord would be low. Also very important, right? It's forte, then piano, then piano. And this is the other thing about Beethoven, even in this early period. Beethoven's markings are much more, there are many more markings in Beethoven than any composer before him. Dynamics. And it's not, later I think it was probably because he started to lose his hearing. And all along he didn't really trust the musicians the way maybe Mozart and Haydn, and they were all friends, and he's not going to mark everything, they'll figure it out. Also, they weren't writing as clearly for posterity as Beethoven was, even in the early. He had a much bigger ego, basically. he knew that his music was, or he believed that his music would be heard down the road, so he got worried about how it would be played. So all of these markings, all these dynamic markings, Beethoven, you always look first, are there any fortissimos? I don't even know if there are in this piece, I don't remember. Any fortissimos in this, in this first thing?
Yeah, 47, 48,
148? Yes, right, in the middle, so that's in the middle of the, and it's interesting because what's the key there? F major, which is, you wouldn't think is a really super dramatic, so it's more of a kind of ecstatic kind of fortissimo, but it's extreme. And if you look at that place, before it you have a forte, but in minor, and then you have the major in fortissimo. So that's kind of cool and interesting. Sort of backwards a little bit. And then before that you've got forte in F major, and before that you have 4 bars before that you have Calano going down to pianissimo. So all your pianissimos are too loud, and all your fortissimos are not loud enough. And sometimes you have to pace it a little bit around the area where there's a fortissimo. I mean, you don't want to be playing, like laying back playing that's a forte in the beginning, I understand. But around the area where you see a fortissimo in the development, maybe the forte shouldn't be really forte, it should be this, you know, toward the mezzo forte range, so when you hit the fortissimo, it's really something special. All right, let me just see if there's little accents and things that come out more, but I mean, basically, I think this will help you the most. But by the way, Mark's Calando, right, where I was just talking about, right, around 30 something. Calando, I think the way we interpret it anyway is it means a little bit more than just diminuendo. It means a little bit, it's not really a retard, but it's a little bit relaxed. It's literally running out of energy. So you could let it slow up slightly. Yeah, bumps back in, and then F major, wrong key, right? You're in the wrong key. I remember playing the last. I'll tell you one story when we get to top. I was playing the last Beethoven sonata. I was rehearsing it, and the great pianist Masterclass, the pianist of the Beaux-Arts trio, who's in the hospital now, not doing very well. But anyways. I heard the door open, but I couldn't see who it was, and I kept playing, and then he sat down and was like, but we finished the last movement, and he said, Menachem, any suggestions? And he said, you know, when the theme comes back, and that, it's G major, right, the last sonata, and the theme comes back in E flat, it's funny, that's the key. He said, you're playing it like it's in the right key. It's really interesting comment. So, you know, don't play these things, the F major, especially the F minor, and then the fortissimo, you know, don't play the tune like it's the beginning, you know. You know what I mean? Even if you, I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, in the case of that place in the sonata, I played it slightly slower, just because it was a little bit, you know, we took a little bit of a wrong turn. It was a little bit lost. Or a little sweeter maybe than, you know, I don't know how to be sweeter than G major, but E flat I guess can be sweeter. E flat is a great key. And the 127 is an E flat. So it's my days. A lot of E flat.
So for instance, in this part where we have key changes all over the place, we shouldn't do like dynamics and things as if they were in the.
Well, you should, but I think you have to make sure you really get the extremes. Also, you may want to play around a little bit with the rests in the development, because the music is a little bit lost. You know, the development section for me is always like the car takes a wrong turn and then you're lost for a while and then it finds its way back to the road, right? I mean, it's kind of a silly analogy, but you know what I mean. So, like the rest in the beginning is for the drama because it's kind of surprising that it stops, but it's not really unsure of itself. It's just stopping for the effect. But in the development section, when something stops, it's really like, it's really like, hell am I? You're looking around, and then you go on. So it's a different feeling, maybe more dramatic. Maybe sometimes you take a little more time, get one rest, and then the next time you have a rest, you don't take as much. You jump a little bit more, just to throw you off, so you don't feel settled until you really get back to the flat.
For the funny key sections where it's like would you say like all of them should kind of take away? Because we were trying to mix it up in terms of.
I would mix it up when a harmony changes in the last one, you do something. But I wouldn't try to make it too,
Okay.
as I said, don't be too musical.
Okay.
And I appreciate you being musical, you are musical, but sometimes you kind of ruin the joke. He's setting, this whole thing of repeating that is setting up when he goes to be natural, and then going to C minor. It's like, in a way, it's all part of his plan. So sometimes if you get too fussy with something, you kind of ruin the overall. All right?